You can support this show at patreon.com/ASA podcasting.
The wasteland is a post-apocalyptic mess as the sole survivor wanders out about to see the rest. Nuclear explosions sending out the gamma rays from deep within the core, gross atomic waste. From deep within the core, gross atomic waste.
Hello and welcome to the 497th edition of the Fallout Feed. I am Andrew, joined by a flock of my favorite Fallout folks. Tonight, I've got Ray. What's up, Ray?
Yeah, hello.
And also Jess. What's going on, Jess?
Hey, Andrew. Greets, everybody.
Tonight on the show, we'll go over some recent gameplay off the top and some feedback from the quest we got into last week, which I believe was... I'm going to miss them up. Out of the Blue and something conscience, because I remember the word conscience because I fucked it up last week.
A satisfied conscience, or whatever you said.
Conscience. I don't remember what I said. Consciousness, probably. So we got some feedback from Will, Vanessa, Sean, and Lee. Thanks, guys. Also, another awesome top 5 list from Will. Been totally enjoying that new feature. Keep him up, Will. Also got some iguana bits a little bit on our way out the door. So let's go ahead and roll right into it, see what everybody's been getting into this week. Say, hey, Jess, you get a chance to play video games?
This was a very video game light week for me. But what little I did play was Fallout. Played a little Saturday, warming up my character. And then we had a Gato stream that night. Got in with my Gatos, and we decided we were going to do a kind of power arming testing stream. So the thing is, there have been some changes to power armor. Obviously, there's been a little bit of rebalancing with all the new power armors coming into them. Previously, we had gotten the T65, and we have the Hellcat power armor. We've got all the new stuff, which I'm actually forgetting the name of the new power armor from the raid right now. But they all have their effects built in. It's funny. It's got all those stones on it. The rocky, spiky armor, Vulcan armor. Thank you. Chat's got me. I know if nobody else has got me, chat has got me. So
that's the TI-82. TI-82.
The T1000, because it's pretty tough. Got all the spikes, got that little unicorn helmet. It's funny. Everyone I see who wears it, they don't wear the spiky helmet.
So they're actually still writing in chance of, I guess it's not really breaking lore because they can just sort of slide anything into Appalachia because we don't really know a lot about the history of that specifically, but they're creating new models of power armor that are actually different models. They're not just skins for 76 and like different paints and stuff. They're actually different functional models.
Yeah, they definitely are. So, I mean, as we know, a lot of the armor in 76 is just skins. Some completely ridiculous wild ones that would not have existed like in pre-war America or pre-Great War America, I should say, because certainly it wasn't pre-war before the Great War for a while there. But, I mean, just some of them are ridiculous. The skins we have, like the riders, like the Blackbird. Like, okay, that makes sense. I'm thinking of some cool ones.
Green glowing skull one, whatever that one is. That was pretty sweet.
Exactly, yeah. The ones that look like spacesuits, Cosmos one. Like, there's some pretty ridiculous skins. But the armors themselves, initially, they were keeping them very straight with Fallout 4. You had your T45, T51B, T60, and XO1. In the base game. Oh, and Excavator. That was a new one they added for 76.
Right, that was the fancy new one.
Yep. Oh, we got also Raider power armor. I don't want to forget Raider, because that's supposed to be a mishmash of other armors, but put together with welded rebar.
Right.
Right. So we had all that at the beginning. Ultrasight was the next one. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so Ultrasight power armor, because you start getting the pieces and such once you start fighting the Queen.
I think I just assumed that was XO110. Huh.
Yeah, no, it's a special, it's its own thing. And honestly, in style, it's a little bit closer to a T60 as far as looks go. So we had those. So that's technically 2 new ones once you unlocked Ultrasight as you went through the game. Then we got the Strangler Heart power armor with the different versions of that from the Vault 94 raid. So then we went on just normally playing, and then with the BOS expansion, Steel Dawn and Steel Rain that we're playing through now, that's when we got the Hellcat power armor. I believe that's when that came in. Yeah, it came in on the second one, on the Steel Rain update. Then we got the T65 power armor from the Wastelanders update. I guess technically T65 was first, but I earned it after because I wasn't out there grinding bullion.
Well, everything's based on how you played it, Jess. So,
Well, my memory is definitely based on how I played it. But yeah, so T65, like some people really loved it, but I mean, it's ugly as heck. So, and I don't use power armor, so didn't really do much with it, you know? But once you put a skin on it, it's fine once you hide it. But it's really bulky. And then the newest, of course, we got is the Vulcan. That would be the new one that we got in the current raid. So,
oh my God, Dr. Spock's here?
yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
No, but you've seen this, obviously. You've done the raid a bit out there now, Andrew, right? It's the one that looks kind of like scorched because you've got all the green crystals coming out of it.
Okay. Yeah, I like the hardened crystal things. Yeah.
So each of these, they all have their own DR. Power armor in general has a basic like damage reduction. Just by wearing power armor, you've got a base level of damage reduction. But then they each have their own DR, what they're stronger against, what they're not. All that. The energy resistance, the physical resistance, the radiation resistance. But some of them, as special sets, have bonuses when you wear the whole thing too. So that can make a difference. But anyhow, with all these different armors, the way that we'd previously done when we were doing power armor fights, for instance, we'd only match up like against like with sets because of the difference in them. Well, even though they still have their different DR officially, they're pretty darn close to the same. So we were testing that a little bit, but also how it works with the different legendary effects as well. You know, how those add and don't, because now you've got your 4-star legendaries, and turns out those make a huge difference. Like the rejuvenating 4-star you can get from the raid, that really makes a difference on your health recovery and such.
Unfamiliar. What's that one?
Yeah.
Someone has something to do with replenishing some sort of something faster than usual.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, health. It's a gradual health replenishment always. I would have to. So
we have a mutation for that, and don't we already have? No, yeah, no.
Yeah.
No, there's stim pack.
There's healing factor.
But there's not like power armor pieces that can do that, except for it'll drop you a stim pack when you're about to die.
Oh yeah, as far as the effect is medics, right? But like Ray said, we have the mutation for it. But if you're looking at actual stats, like the Strangler Heart has the highest rad resistance, like 453 ballistic, 393 energy, 500 rad resistance. Then the T65 has like 100 more ballistic, and then the second highest rad resistance. So they're all a little bit different, but they were seeming pretty effectively similar, except for the set bonuses that you get. When you've got a full set, you get certain things that happen with them and the poison effects and such. But so what we were basically testing was how do they stack up against each other? And it does seem like, yes, and higher DR doesn't matter as much. If you got 450 damage reduction on one and 600 damage reduction on another, that's not a huge difference. It's a curve. The lower end seems to always affect more than the higher end. We've talked about that with armor and such. So if you have, say, a T51B, okay, and you're out there fighting a Strangleheart, there's a good chance that the Strangleheart will be tougher than your armor. But if you're the only one with Rusty Knuckles, the mods make more of a difference. So say you get Rusty Knuckles, extra melee damage, bleed over time, stuff like that. There are various arm mods that help with melee. Those mods make a whole lot more of a difference than the armor itself. So we realized you actually can match different against different, except in the case of the ones with a full set bonus, like with the Vulcan, because suddenly those create a really overpowering effect. And then the legendary effects on them, those can also make a huge difference. There are still some that are quite different. I mentioned rejuvenating. Let me actually go if I can find a quick list of legendary effects, because I don't know all the new 4-star ones by memory yet. They're a little bit too new for me.
I don't know any of them yet.
Right? I mean, it's all new. It's still something to learn. And since I don't do power much and I haven't been doing the raid much, I have been skipping them.
Still haven't gone down to do a raid yet.
I thought you joined in on a raid a couple times. You haven't?
I've been down there, but not gone through like the full thing.
Right. And going through the full,
and something weird happened where
going through the full thing start to finish can be tough. But yeah, there are, it looks like a good, 12 to 14 new effects. And they're pretty high. So the one I'm talking about is Rejuvenators. And Rejuvenators gradually restores your health and AP. In a 50-meter radius. So it also doesn't just affect you, it affects people around you if you're on a team. So that's a big one. But there are a couple others. Let's see. Tankies. 200 more damage resist for 10 seconds when standing still. Up to 1,000 on a full stack. So if all 5 of your pieces have the tanky effect, you're getting extra 1,000 damage resistance for 10 seconds after getting hit.
I would just
That's
have
more
the
than doubling your
trouble
armor.
remembering not to run when I'm getting my ass kicked, but stand the fuck still. Take it because it'll do less. You'll do more damage to yourself if you run right now.
Right. It's quite different. So this is just something that we wanted to look into. We were testing on stream a little bit, and I was trying to look at the list. But what we didn't do it super scientifically because it was a Saturday night. We were just hanging out, having fun. We tried to be scientific, but it got a little silly. But
why do you think they make the graph taper off instead of linear? Like, why not have the damage actually keep increasing, the damage resistance? Why is the difference between 0 and 100 not the same between 400 and 500?
I mean,
you know what I mean? Why do they taper that end of the graph?
Ray, you've investigated that a little bit before, right? I'm trying to remember if you had a theory on it. I mean, I think it has to kind of do with just keeping things from getting OP. That if it's just keeps scaling in a linear fashion, that it's much easier to make things imbalanced and break against other builds.
Yeah, I don't remember any of the numbers, but yeah, they're constantly trying to do little games with how things function in order to try to keep one thing from running away. I mean, they did. Bloody got a little carried away, and so they slowly but surely have whittled that down a little bit.
Right, they've had to, yeah. And also improve like what Overeaters does for a bonus and some of the others. Gourmands,
At the same
Overeaters.
time, they've pretty much taken 98% of the PvP aspect out of the game. So why does it matter? Like, if someone wants to have this OP thing, fuck it, let them have it, because you're not going to go use it against other players.
Well, there's the PvP aspect for sure. That is a thing. You're right. Oh, I'm looking at legendary effects. Here's another good one. Miasma. Miasma, a poisonous cloud harms nearby targets for 10 seconds. Like, that is a big one that if you have that in a fight, this cloud around you, it's like makes you look like Pigpen from the Peanuts.
Yeah.
What's that Khajiit from Dawnstar or whatever called with the wasn't there miasma and a watchtower or something or other from?
Oh, that's
what was that?
Yeah, the Temple of Vermina.
Yeah.
Yeah, Vermina. Oh my goodness.
But you also they have to be considerate of people doing events together because
You're stealing all their kills, right?
Yeah.
All right, I didn't think of that. Okay.
I did have to get rid of my Overeater's armor on my Roundtable character because I realized that with Cannibal and Bloodthirsty, I was getting a buff to strength, and that's my 1 point skill, my 1 point special. So I had to lose that armor piece so that I wasn't buffing my strength.
There you go. But to answer your question as to why it matters in player versus environment as opposed to each other, it's also because you have to worry about enemy balancing, especially in the case of longer battles and bosses. They kind of have to tune, especially in something like a raid or Earl or what have you, to a higher caliber player, to how quickly players can kill things. With the Scorchbeast Queen, for instance, after they balanced her a bit over the first year or two, they kind of stopped, and she was never balanced for highest level. And that's why people who are very OP could kill her so quickly. I mean, there's also exploiting certain issues that happen with energy weapons and stuff along the way too. Like there are other things that happen in the game over time. But the idea is if you are tuning enemies for the top tier players, for how quickly they can go, lower level players or players who aren't as optimized, who aren't all min-maxy and don't run the numbers, don't really stand a chance. And that's where it starts to be like, oh, only one build is great. You know, that's why Bloodied broke the game a little bit, because once you start getting the +3 to your specials multiple times, some of those are a bit more linear. And that is a pretty major boost. And that's why they had to kind of, work on that curve. So that's why they kind of have to make it the exponential slowdown so that the people at the top, there's more room at the top, let's just say, that like your 20th percentile and your 10th percentile aren't that far apart. Your 10th percentile and your first percentile aren't that far apart. Because if they are that far apart, you're only tuning for that top 5%. And everyone else is like, this sucks. I'm never fighting Earl again, which we already are. And
we're already there, dude.
Right.
Okay, how about this then? You know how at some point they scaled the game so that each bad guy appears to every individual player. The difficulty of that bad guy is not world reflected, but by player reflected. Remember that? Like that's how it is now. Like if I'm level 500, the bad guy is going to be level whatever. But if I'm there with a level 1, it's their bad guy. It's not going to be a level 100 for them. You know what I mean?
Yep. And that is what they tried to
So-
do with One Wasteland. And that was a new method of scaling they brought in to make it so your low level characters could go to the bog.
So how difficult would it be to do a similar system, but instead of based on level, it's actually based on like your build, like your damage output. So if you do the bloodied, your bad guy is going to be fucking impossible to kill. Like if you abuse it, it's going to abuse you. You know what I mean?
Believe it or not, in a way, that's the effect that the exponential curve has. By being tougher, but not as tougher, it's almost adding that curve in there on top of the level. The idea that if it could gauge to every single player, like, oh, this player outputs 800, so they're going to take 600. This player outputs 40, so they're going to take 30. Like, that would be
It already does that, you're saying?
lot. I mean, that would be a lot to calculate with every different character and also how, if they're fighting together against a single monster. I am sure it could be done, but I think it would create a lot of lag and a lot of issues in fighting. So by using a curve, you're simply making it so that you can make that more gradual, but not have to worry quite as much variation. And the level boosting helps. I mean, really the big thing, level boosting, while it does make a difference, a lot of what it does, you still have some difference based on skills because we have a lot less perks at level 15. So if we're level 15, we go to the bog. There's a lot of things we can't do. So even if it boosts our output to be like at a base, like level 50 in a way, like level 50 with a basic gun is kind of where the scale is maybe. You still don't have all the legendary effects and stuff like that would push it over the edge, or the perk cards to push it over the edge. So anywho, for Hall 76, that was pretty much what I did, was the power armor testing and playing there. Did a little of scoreboard grinding. I'm probably 95. I only went on one day this week, and I didn't even do all the weeklies. I was kind of lazy. But we still have another 3-4 weeks. Right now, like I said before, the season should be ending. I'm expecting March 4th. It could be March 11th as well. But March 11th is when the Big Bloom event is starting, and March 4th is when Fastnacht ends. So my assumption is we'll be doing a Fastnacht, we'll finish marching, and then bam, new season when that's done. They're not going to launch a new season during Fastnacht, and they probably won't want to launch a big event on the same day as the new season. They can, but you know how there's usually like, it's good to get one issue out of the way at a time and not have potential for a couple things going wrong at the same. So that was pretty much it for my gaming this week.
What goes wrong, huh?
Like what a weird low gaming week for me. I've been just hitting the TV and working on tinkering. I was telling Ray, tinkering with my new computer, the one that I started a year ago, ran into some issues. I'm now rebuilding it, replaced a few things and getting it set up. Hopefully by end of day tomorrow, it'll be running. Like everything is set except for my streaming software, and I have to move over the hard drives and stuff from the old. Speaking of which, we actually have, I believe, our friend AX4X Boost is currently upgraded to Windows 11 while listening to the show right now live. So it's fun. Good luck. I hope you don't run into any issues. That's it from me. How about you, Andrew or Ray? Gameplay?
Ray, well, I can get through mine fairly quickly. I didn't do a ton. I was concentrating on using score boosts and getting the weekly stuff done to get up to the scoreboard. I finally got up to 100 and got that little the cat scratching cactus, where Jess and I were trying to come up with a cute way to like mash it together, you know. Cat kiss was his guess.
I like cat kiss.
Still sounds weird.
It's a prickly cat kiss.
It'll roll off the paws, right? So we got a new toy in the camp, a black kitty running around, and I haven't actually seen him scratch on the. Is he supposed to actually interact with it? Do you have to tell him to do that? I haven't actually played with it very much or anything, so I don't know if it does something or if it's just pretty. It's cute regardless. I think it's just interactive, right? But I don't know either. Like we've got the leaf pile for the dog; he'll jump in, but I don't think he gets anything from it. I didn't see that. I haven't built that either, so I was excited to see what happened with that. I didn't know if he'd like pull out a teddy bear out of there or something cute. They just play with it, like digging in the dirt.
You're playing in the leaves. Oh, you're
Maybe.
scratching on the cat kiss post.
The cat kiss. I was playing my new survival shelter and having such a good time. And I was looking back through some older files, and I was just thinking, I'm sort of embracing this newer phase of my life where I'm trying not to be so overly sentimental about things. Like if I go find a box and I haven't looked inside of that box for 10 years, I know that that shit is not important. Get rid of that stuff. You know what I mean? Like there's no point in having stuff in your house that you don't use. You know what I mean? So I was just like looking through, I was like, I haven't played some of these shelters for a couple years. Fuck them. I don't care. Get rid of that shit. So I started a couple new survival shelters too, getting over my nostalgic saves, deleting them shits, not getting all bent out of shape about it.
Mhm.
Started some new vaults or shelters, sorry. Having some fun with those. And because I was just thinking, Jess is right. It is the first like 15 levels or whatever of the game that are the most fun, just getting everything going and established. And the survival, it's just fucking brutal, like early on. You know what I mean? Eventually, you hit a plateau and it becomes pretty tolerable. But the early on, it's just so challenging, and it makes it that much more rewarding when you do like get it going and your happiness is above 50% and everyone's not like miserable and dying. You're like, yay, all right, good job, guys. Way not to be miserable and die. So no, but it's definitely a struggle. It's hard. So I was embracing the early levels of shelter with a couple of new builds, but my shelter love has revived there a little bit. I decided to try to catch up with the quest from last week because I got stuck on the sheep squatch guy down in the basement and I couldn't get past him. But I caught Solior online the other night and he helped me out down there. It was just like when the sheep squatch is paying attention to you, there's nothing. He just would blast with a laser, blender hands right in the chest, and you're fucking done. There's just absolutely nothing you can do. But if you have someone else with there, if someone else is around, like you have like distraction, like each of you can run opposite direction. You know, it's just so much easier when someone else is there. And it's not just the fact that like he added his extra damage as well, but it's just like the fact that the sheep squatch wasn't attacking me 100% of the time directly just allows for more like me being able to run around and
Makes
shoot.
a lot of difference. Yeah.
It's crazy. And I was also just looking at Romani and being like, hello, do you see what he's doing?
Yeah. Can you
Hello?
also be bait? Come on.
Can you fucking run around? Draw
Yeah.
draw something, please. She's just standing there, man. Did she actually like I think she's taking shots, but she's obviously not
She didn't
doing
for us. She didn't for
No.
Ray or I.
Oh my God. Like she did nothing. Like, why are you here? Like you do something, please. I was getting really mad at her for not doing anything.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad you had a friend go in so you could finally get past it.
And no, if he wasn't around, there's no way I'd still be fighting that thing. Then I went over to Vault 96. That was last night. So it was a different evening. I went over to 96, tried to run through there, but it was too late in the evening. And I was like starting to do that thing where you start to fall asleep. And then I realized, okay, I killed all these blood eagles. But then like you pick up a note and you're like, okay, there's a note here. Okay, what am I doing? Oh wait, there's evidence of some sort. And then you're sort of slowly falling asleep, and then you wake back up and you're like, okay, what was I doing? Oh man, there's fucking evidence. Oh man. So I just thought, okay, usually I would sort of struggle through and just finish it, but I was just like, just turn it off, redo it, start it again, because this is actually like evidence and stuff. You need to read all the notes and pay attention. I'm sure there's a cool story happening here that I shouldn't just brush off and go. So I didn't actually complete 96 yet, but that's my plan this week is to go through that and catch up with the other quests that were. No, wait, did we finish? These are the end of the quest, right?
No, there's one more.
One more.
One more
Yeah,
after
the catalyst is what we're doing for next week.
So I'm hopefully going to finish 96 this weekend and then catch up with you guys by next show.
Yeah, you will. 96. It takes a little bit, but it's not as hard. It's just blood eagles and a few robots and a
Well,
lot
there's
of
no goddamn
a
sheep
maze.
squatches, or if they're like Scorch Beast Queen or something pops out, I'll be
Yeah,
like,
well,
oh fuck.
that's why I was worried about leveling. I was simply worried about leveling for the pasta sheep squatch here, and then for the boss at the end of the catalyst that we're going to do next week. I mean, 96, yeah, there's a grind, but I was actually surprised at how not hard the first couple quests in Steel Rain were. They weren't that bad at all.
Yeah, it's going to be like Earl's meaner older big brother, isn't it?
He's a big boy. Yeah, he's
Oh,
got
no.
less shouty faces, but he's got large poundy arms. So
Oh no, I hate Poundy. Let's see. Solier, help me with the sheep, Squatch, Vault 96, Blood Eagles, Clue. Oh, Silo. Jess, you're talking about TV.
right.
I tore through the Silo. I saw season 2 was popping up, so I went back and rewatched season 1 and then burned through season 2 real quick. And it's, if you're a Fallout fan, I mean, the people who wrote the show, or like, it's holy shit. Like, come on, get your own ideas, guys. This is like, there's this mysterious company that has all these underground dwellings that run these mad experiments of different kinds on these different. I mean, like, no, but seriously, like, you could write the words Vault Tech on these places that they live, and to have like Fallout with a flash lightning bolt, and this could just be a side story. Seriously, this is a side quest of the Fallout show that we're watching. It's kind of got a different feel and tone. It's a little more, slightly more serious sci-fi, less
Right.
goofy, but it's totally intriguing, totally great, fun mysteries, fun. Yeah, it's just good stuff. My only complaint is Common, the rapper actor Common, is just, hey, I am acting now. Look at me act.
Oh, I thought he was a pretty good actor in the
Going
past.
to act now. And
Nah,
I
you
am
don't think so, Garrett?
acting. Watch me act now. it's just, I was just like, come on, dude, spit it out. Let's go.
He's a bit wooden. Yeah. Chad is agreeing
But
with you
Tim
there.
Tim Robbins is awesome. I love Tim Robbins. Absolutely. Andy Dufresne pops up as the bad guy. So like, it's just really fun. Yeah. So Silo, highly recommended. Good show.
That's great.
Really
I've
fun.
heard only good things. I mean, from you in the past when it first came out, and other people too. So
I just started watching this fucking brutal ass show on Netflix that I found myself being very interested in, like historical horror recently for some reason.
ooh,
Like just horror movies that like take place in the 1800s, that sort of thing, like Wild West horror movies. Like, I don't know, there's this Bone Tomahawk one that had um
the true story of Jigsaw.
yeah, exactly. No, I can remember his name off the top of my head. So stupid. Goldie Hawn's husband. Who's Goldie Hawn's fucking husband?
Kurt.
Kurt
Russell?
Kurt
Yeah.
Russell, exactly. Kurt Russell's in a horror movie recently. It's an old West movie, but it's a horror movie. It's fucking rules. And like the terror that the boat that gets stuck in the Arctic like takes place in the 1700s, and it's just so great. And I don't know why, but I find that I usually hate period pieces. Like my wife watches the Outlander and like all sorts of like crazy stuff.
Outlander's pretty good.
Oh no, it's not. Shut up. Oh, terrible. Oh man. But she watches lots of period pieces, and I just usually can't stand them. But for some reason, I find this historical horror like really effective for some reason. Like The Witch. I don't know if you saw that. I like all these for some reason. I don't know. But really cool. Anyway, I forget the name of that new show on Netflix, but it's got the lead actress from The Hunt, which is a fucking crazy ass cool movie. So if you enjoy The Hunt, this lady is in it. And anyway, recommend. If I could give you a title, I should look it up. But
Okay.
yeah, that's my gameplay. So what else we get into? Ray, have you gotten to play any video games this week, sir?
I did. It was kind of a grinding week, but none of it was in 76.
What are you grinding?
So burning through the new content in No Man's Sky, discovering new galaxies and new biomes. I built a base it's more than 1,300 U under the water, where previously the deepest you could get was about 75 or 80 U. So that was pretty amazing.
How far is you? What is that?
It's just a unit of measure.
And does it have an equivalent at all?
No, it's just 2U is twice as much as 1U.
It is a unit. That's what.
Yeah. And then I came to the realization, and Jess was like, yeah, I do chase after achievements.
Yes, he really, really does. Difficult ones too, often.
They're not the arbitrary achievements assigned to you by game companies. They're achievements that I've assigned to myself. So when I started grinding that character that's over level 200 now, I decided that I wanted to try maxing out some skill trees. And so the first one I went after was the tech tree. And so I finally got the hardest one on that one was the robots. Payloads was not easy because you have to jump so many grab jumps. From level 3 to level 4, you have to do 50 grab jumps with your cargo overloaded. And so that one was just a matter of buckling down and just, putting max power to your grab drive and just jump, 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 jump. But whenever you don't want robots, they're everywhere
Yes.
and they're melting you. When you need to kill 100 robots,
They're nowhere to be
you
found.
can't find them anywhere. Maybe 1, 2 at a time. So I finally managed to get all my robots down. So I maxed out the tech tree, and then went to work on the combat tree. The ones that were particularly tough were the crippling, because you have to get enemies into a down state. And so with your weapons, you've only got a percentage chance of getting the enemy into a down state. So you have to shoot a lot of enemies a lot to hit that threshold and get them to a down state. And then the other one was rapid reloading, which wouldn't have been tough if I had not very cleverly maxed out all the magazines on all my weapons.
No, right.
Like my Kadama's got 80 rounds. I've got all these massive clip sizes.
I have that right now, trying to level it up as well. Having to empty a clip before you reload. I'm sorry, I'm a gamer. Okay, I'm like, why is it empty after shooting 3 bullets? I do not ever empty clips.
The other thing was breaking that, but then I had a little light bulb go off and realized that the Nova Blast Disruptor EM rifle has a clip size of 5. It's a very common, the heavy fuse. So I had a lot of rounds of that.
Mm-hmm.
And all I needed was one lone enemy all by himself. And so I blasted him, incapacitated him with the EM weapon.
Oh, until
He's
it was
laying
empty.
there on the ground.
Mm-hmm.
And then just blast, 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 reload, blast, 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 blast. So he's laying on the ground the whole time.
You can't find a robot after doing that to him. Jeez.
And so I just kept going and going. It was completely grindy, but it was a lot easier than trying to do it with a clip size of 80.
Mm-hmm. Oh, 100%.
So I finally got that one to go. And then to show my gratitude, I didn't then pull out my shotgun and blow his head off. I just left him there incapacitated to slowly recover while I went off to do other things.
Very, very kind of you. But yeah, so you're working on maxing the tech tree. And I like the idea that that's the goal you do. But you've done that with collections too. Like if you look at how you played London, you're like, I'm going to collect all these things. And that is like, in like regular games, that is an achievement. Like that is literally what an achievement is collect all these things, do all this thing, max this. And you're constantly doing it, but it's what you want and not just what they tell you to.
Right.
No one's going to tell Ray what to do.
That's right. I make up my own rules. So, yep. So I got that. Once I got the combat, I ran out of skill points.
Okay. So combat and tech you've maxed now, though?
Yep.
Wow. That's amazing.
Yeah. So those are both 100%. I think the next one I'll start trying to complete is the physical.
Okay. Do you have many points in physical yet? I would think that'd be one you have less in to start.
So I've got fitness is maxed out because you do that when you're making all those components and you're grossly over encumbered.
Hmm.
I did stealth. That one you level up while you're leveling up combat. Weightlifting was another one that leveled up with being over encumbered. So those were done. And wellness just kind of happened because you're always damaged whenever you run over encumbered. So there's a few in there that are going to be particularly tough because, well, one is boxing, because no matter what you do, unarmed sucks
Right.
in Starfield.
Yeah.
And so
There's the neurostrike skill is the one that adds like some kind of extra damage to your unarmed, right? Like there are a couple
Yeah.
unarmed, but
yeah, and that one I do have maxed out. So that one stuns your enemies
okay.
with an unarmed attack. Which is another one that if you just keep punching somebody that's down, you can get some levels in that. And then that was also the one where I was using it to also level up concealment, because you could punch them, which would disable them. And then you could wait until your sneak bar, came back up because they couldn't see you anymore. And then you would kill them with a melee weapon. And that would count as a sneak attack.
So you're plotting the grind. Okay, here's a question. How are you going to get more skill points? Are you going to get it while leveling the skill this way? Or are you going to go back to the grind and go get yourself like 30, 40 levels on the farm?
Well, I'll have to see, because I just started going through the constellation quests. And because one of the other things is, so now that I've got this big ship and I've got ship command maxed out, so I can have all these crew members. So I think I've got up to 10 now. So I had a bunch of people I had to hire in order to level the skill. So I had to have five crew in order to level the skill. Once I got that leveled, now I can do up to 8. So I've got those 5, plus I've added Barrett and what's the blonde's name? Sarah and Co. So I think I may try to. I really don't want to have to grind. When you're this high level, you have to make so many.
It's so painful. Anything you do is painful. I mean, I know you don't want to give yourself extra XP, but man, if there was an XP boost mod that could help you with that part, it might almost be worth it at the level you're at, just for the experiment.
Yeah, so I'll see where I come out once I get to the Unity and see. I mean, I've got a really kick butt ship.
Yep.
So push comes to shove, I'll just fly around Serpentis a couple of 100 times, because that's less grindy than having to make 10 million.
It's a little more
frames.
fun. There's actually an element of fun involved. Even if you're mostly decimating the ship, sometimes they surprise you. Sometimes you get 3 on at once and it can be a surprise. You got to actually think. That makes sense. So here's a question about the skills. So to tie this back into Fallout. So when Starfield came out, we thought, ooh, this skill tree looks really neat. I like the idea of you're putting points in like Fallout, but then you have to learn by doing, like in Oblivion and Skyrim, where instead of like doing it over and over gives you the skill point, doing it over and over, you pass challenges that let you unlock the next skill point. So it looked like a cool hybrid of the two. In practice, it turned out you level too slow, the challenges are way too grindy. It is maybe not as much fun as it was in Oblivion Skyrim to learn by doing, and not as much fun as just putting a point into something called Bloody Mess in Fallout. So what do you think? Do you think they should try it like this, but make it just a little bit more streamlined as far as like, say, in the next Fallout game? Should they think about doing challenges in between like this? Or is this an experiment? They did it and they should just keep Fallout, keep Elder Scrolls, and don't do this hybrid thing again?
Yeah, I mean, something similar to this would be good, but not all of the skills are really well thought out.
That might be part of it too. There's too damn many, and the bonuses are a little incremental. Like they're not. There aren't that many great skills, like the social tree, for instance.
Yeah.
No, there's just not.
Well, and so the social is one that I ended up getting a mod to fix, because the only good you can do with deception is if you are a pirate, because you have to convince ships to surrender, which gives you a bounty. And so at that point, you have to rob them to get enough credits back to be able to pay the bounty that you're going to have to pay on for stopping and convincing them to surrender. So the mod that I picked up, it gives you credits for smuggling goods into a system. So if you pass a contraband test, when they scan you for contraband, that gets you to level up in deception, which is ultimately, so the rewards for deception are that you can cause higher level ships to surrender to you, and contraband scans are less effective. So it made that skill a little more appealing as a smuggler, as opposed to having to be a pirate.
Right. That makes sense.
So just little things like that in the physical tree in order to level up, gosh, which is it? Oh yeah, to level up martial arts, which gives you an increased crit chance for melee and unarmed attack. You have to do unarmed damage.
Okay.
But if you're a melee character, you're not doing unarmed damage, you're doing melee damage.
Right. Because they still differentiate.
So it doesn't level up the martial arts skill.
So there are ways it could be combined and just be a little more synergy. Maybe be a good word for it, so that you could work on multiple things, different ways. I just dropped a quick video. I just want to do a little shout out. I dropped it in our live chat there. It's called "The Best Perk Nobody Uses" by Unky Nick. I don't know if you saw this, Ray, but it is a video all about how great intimidation is in Fallout 4. Speaking of charisma, because one of our problems with mentioned the social tree is why I grabbed it. We got diplomacy and intimidation and negotiation and all this stuff. But he talked about how intimidation, people sleep on it, but it's amazing what you can do to pacify people, but also you can incite them to attack for you when you do pacify them. And at level 3, you can give them specific commands. And you can make them drop their weapons and things, which I thought that is actually pretty neat. There are some real uses to it that could really help in some fights.
Except that, I mean, I've done builds that are focused on those traits, and it sucks.
Because the rest of the build sucks, until you get enough levels in to make it a well-rounded character.
But the thing is, intimidation, again, is one of those that's just a % chance. And so you don't know if it's going to work until it's too late, because normally if you're a gun character, so you're going to have a gun to be able to point at them to intimidate them, you're shooting them from as far away as possible and from in cover, because that's the best way not to get shot back. And so with intimidation, you got to walk right up to them and point your gun at them and hope that it works.
'Cause right, there is a fail chance, isn't there?
But not only is there a fail chance, but it's almost a certainty that it's going to fail, because it's a very small chance that it works early on.
Okay.
And that's when you're your most vulnerable anyway.
Right, because I mean, it's characters below your level. So that does make sense that initially it would fail more than it doesn't. By the time you get up to Charisma 10 to pull it, you're probably going to be higher level. But yeah, it all depends on how you build for it. Okay. Yeah. Well, I thought it was a fun little video. I enjoyed some of his examples, because it's a playstyle I hadn't really thought of being as useful as he showed it to be. But
yeah, was that video about Fallout? Was that about 76?
No, Fallout 4. Yeah,
Fallout 4. Okay, yep. Yeah, because that's where I tried it, was in Fallout 4, and it was terrible. But yeah, so in Starfield, I like the challenges to level up the different skills, but you have to strike a balance. I mean, I had a ton to play with because I had leveled up to level 200. So I had all those skill points to play around with. And as soon as you maxed out any level on any skill, you had the points to put in to get it to the next level so that you weren't wasting shooting enemies or shooting ships or whatever you were doing, whatever skill you were leveling. You had the skill point to be able to immediately jump in and then get it to the next level. If you're trying to do it while you're also creeping up in levels, then it's a lot more difficult because you'll complete the skill challenge before you have the skill point to bring it to the next level.
Right. Yeah, which means and you're not banking points to the next challenge on a lot of these. You have to actually get the next level before you can start working on that challenge.
Yeah.
In some of these
Well,
games.
and most of the time, in most of the builds that I do in Starfield, I do kind of have a goal.
Most of them are level 20 or
I-
30 builds, like not.
I do bank a lot. I bank skill points. I'm going to need these for this particular skill because this is the one I want to focus on.
So
And most of those builds, I would stick to one particular. Like I would do a build that focused almost wholly on physical, or just on combat, or just on tech, or just on science.
right, a specialist.
To be so that you had those extra skill points as you go to be able to level up. But it was kind of an aha for me. Okay, I guess technically I do chase achievements.
Yeah, but you're less of a braggart. I mean, you come on here and talk about it, but you don't need the badges. You don't need that gamer score always going up.
Yeah. No, I do manage personal satisfaction. Just probably at a greater level than I do.
It's mostly
little
personal
trophies.
satisfaction for me too. It's just it's the external goals versus your ones you set yourself. But I mean, obviously, we do both. But yeah, it's just part of being a gamer. I feel like a lot of us set goals, and that's why the achievement systems are popular in a lot of games.
And because I run the achievement enabler mod so that my saves will record properly, I do occasionally get these annoying little pop-ups saying that I've done something that the game wanted me to do.
Good job. Attaboy.
So that was about it. I don't think I even fired up any other game.
Just Starfield and No Man's Sky. Well, all that new content to explore. Obviously, you're going to play that a lot.
Yeah, that was a lot of hours.
Mm-hmm. That makes sense. Well, Andrew, do you have anything else you want to get to, or do you want to hop in? It's a feedback week. We've got a top 5 to play, and we got some feedback.
Yeah, definitely. I did download a little phone game called Stone Story. I don't know if anyone's looked up, but I haven't gotten too far into it, but I was sort of looking online for diet versions of like mobile games similar to like Bard's Tale, stuff like that. And this was one of the suggested ones that popped up. So I'm kind of excited to get into this one a little bit more. But it's super simple, almost line drawings, like made with like, but in a super creative and slick way. So it's definitely like a really neat aesthetic. So I'm kind of stoked getting into that one. But yeah, let's roll right into some feedback.
Okay. Well, we're going to hit this top 5. Let's split it up with a little top 5. Now, this is coming in from Will this week. Let's go. Here's Will.
Top 5 signs your boyfriend is ex-Brotherhood of Steel. Number 5, when going to the grocery store, says he's going on a recon mission. Number 4, gets way too excited when reading technical documents. Number 3, refers to his man cave as the command center. Number 2, the ringtone for his phone is Heart of Steel.
Deep down inside, I got a heart of steel.
And the number 1 sign your boyfriend is ex-Brotherhood of Steel, refers to the neighbors as those synth bastards.
Yeah.
Synth.
What was that song?
I think it must be called Heart of Steel. Yeah, he just slipped it in there.
But what? Do we know anything about that? Who does it or whatever?
No, he just slipped it in. Was it Donna Summer, maybe?
I have no idea. That was great.
Chat probably knows. I don't know. Heart of Steel. Yeah.
Peanut Gallery. Do we know?
Music.
That's great. That's great. Cool. I love those. Will keep them coming.
That is awesome. Well, thank you very much, Will. Top 5 signs your boyfriend may be ex-Brotherhood of Steel. Honestly, the recon mission, that first one that grabbed me right from there. That was great.
What is a reconnaissance mission actually mean? You're going out for information and bringing back info? Is that what reconnaissance is? Or you're actually bringing back like items or food? Or
No,
what?
it's recon just means to like scouting, reconnoiter.
Get information, right?
Yeah, reconnaissance to reconnoiter, I believe, is the verb.
I don't know what that means.
Yeah, I mean, it's basically to scout out and spy, right? To take the lay of the land, right?
I always
Do you know any
gathered
better?
that from how it's used, but I didn't know if it had a very specific military usage or something. Cool. All right. You want to get some feedback?
Yeah. Oh, okay. Merriam-Webster Dictionary refers to it as to inspect, observe, or survey an area to gather information, often for military purposes. There you go.
Often for military purposes. Okay, right.
Perfect. Okay, well, let's get into the feedback. Andrew, I don't have the feedback song. Can you give me a live rendition?
We make feedback.
The Chronicles of Isaiah Pollux, Part 4, Downtime. I've experienced many different societies during my life. There was the pre-war life in California where I spent my youth, on the beaches, surfing, learning about things like love and friendship and being young. Then I was catapulted into a time of war, fighting daily for my life in the frozen wastes of Alaska and northern China. I learned how to count on my wits and my skills with a weapon. I took many lives in those days and got lost in what I had become. Vault-Tec brought me home when I could not fight any longer. They gave me the treatment I needed to find a new place in society with serums and chems that made me stronger, more intelligent. Then there was the Vault. When the Great War was upon us, Vault-Tec gave me a home here in Appalachia to ride out whatever was to come after. That life was filled with tinkering and fixing things. I used my brilliant mind to be the engineer the Vault needed. The Overseer was unable to understand my usefulness, though, and we did not see things the same. She was soft on the Dwellers. She left them ill-prepared to withstand the wasteland. Sure, there was some that survived, but most, well, they didn't. I lived in that hole for 25 years, and when the doors finally opened on that fateful day, I reveled in the challenges and was captivated at what the world had become. It was in these last few months that I was finally able to be the man I was meant to be, a survivor, a warrior amongst this rabble of local West Virginia hillbillies and country folk. I am an unbreakable hero in a new world of monsters, gangsters, and wannabe kings. It is my duty, my obligation during this downtime in my mission to wipe the world clean of these horrible things. Isaiah Pollux. Day 84. I was able to finally complete the work on my base of operations. A camp, even Vault-Tec would be proud of and consider a cozy abode given the conditions. I still cannot find a use for the gold my extractor pulls from the ground, but I have found other ways to collect the new coin of the realm, Nuka-Cola bottle caps of all things. All the train stations have robot vendors and buy up all my garbage. I used to have an old squad leader who was a real cheapskate. These guys give him a run for his money. During my travels, I ran into a guy who was traveling down south to a hole in the ground that apparently was a mine at one time. He said that a faction known as the Enclave was digging up stuff called ultracite down there, a mineral of great potential or great calamity. The Enclave was a group I had heard of before only in whispers, and he promised me a bucket load of riches, but it would be dangerous. Couldn't be worse than Alaska, I muttered, and off we went. They dug far too deep, unearthing horrible creatures and other conjured monstrosities. The mine was a sprawling complex of tunnels, workshops, and laboratories. The expedition was far more dangerous than we had imagined. We fought robots, mole miners, an entire zoo full of mutated beasts, some known, some unknown. And then finally, at the bottom of the mine, we encountered this cobra-like creature, 50 feet long, swimming in a lake of molten ultracite. The battle was long and horrifying, like nothing either of us had ever seen before. It was like something out of a movie or a video game. Battered and wounded, we barely escaped with our lives. I was able to collect some Enclave weaponry and armor during the adventure, which made the endeavor worthwhile in the end. As we spent some time recovering, My companion told me stories about the Enclave and ways I might be able to find them. Apparently, they have access to a satellite, and that if I could gain access to it, it could help me contact Vault-Tec. We said our farewells and went off in our different directions, and it is with this new information that I can finally update my mission. I will find this Enclave, gain access to that satellite, and hopefully find a way to contact Vault-Tec. Signing off for now.
Thank you. And that feedback was from Sean Stratoblaster. I didn't introduce it first. We just went right into the theme song there. But I really loved the description of that one, Stratoblaster. That was really detailed. They dug too far. They dug too deep, unleashing horrors on the mind. Like, that was just really well done. I liked it. Very, very evocative. Did you guys have any notes on the feedback?
Very nice. Thank you, sir. No specific thought.
Absolutely. Well, thanks, Stratoblaster. Okay, next up let's go with Vanessa. Vanessa's up.
Hello, friends. We're here to talk about my character Danger and the most recent quests, which I did like. They sort of felt like some good old-fashioned Fallout quests with some depth to them and a good balance of combat and dialogue. Especially the second one. It reminded me of Kellogg's quest a little bit while we're making our way through the vault. They're reading all the terminals and learning the lore of Vault 96. Meanwhile, fighting a few blood eagles and stuff with, you got Blackburn sort of talking to you over the intercom there. Which he even sort of sounded like Kellogg a little bit, and at the end looked like him a little bit as well with his shaved head, except in a lab coat and without that epic battle there at the end. By the way, last week's episode, you guys were talking about ways characters have lived much longer than usual. That one of the things going through my head was Kellogg and his cybernetic implants. I don't know if we know exactly how old he is, but well, he was there in the vault when they kidnapped Sean, and then of course he doesn't look too much older there when, of course, Sean dies or as an old man. So that there's another way, as well as whatever Lorenzo Cabot had going on there. I don't know. Ray could speak more to that, maybe. Anyways, as I said, the quests were fun. Just a couple of other things here. On the second one, when we get to the vault and we walk in there, they have all these dead Hellcat mercenaries there that were overrun by the Blood Eagles. And Scribe Valdez doesn't even think twice about whether or not she should call for backup. I was like, all these people are dead from the Blood Eagles and you're still just fine with the two of us going in? Thought that was a little curious. Of course, my character Danger there, he just follows orders. He does what he's told and doesn't matter how dangerous it is, and he was up for it. During that first quest there, I realized that this has sort of just been the exact opposite experience as the first time I played through this, whereas there's been some discussion talking about how nobody likes Shin really because he's a jerk, and but as we sort of played our way through, by the end you realize maybe Shin had sort of the right motives and stuff, and maybe you could side with him. And this time, whereabouts, for whatever reason, we seem to have sort of picked up on that right away, that Shin has the best motives or interests of the Brotherhood at heart, and Romani may seem misguided. And I felt that way, but during this last quest, I sort of got where she was coming from a little bit more, in that maybe she was disillusioned if she really felt like she was sent out there to fail on that mission and never return. But also, if she has different goals and ideas towards what the Brotherhood should be, I totally think it's fine for her to leave the Brotherhood and maybe start her own thing that she wants to do. I think where she's misstepping is sort of trying to make this chapter of who are already Brotherhood follow with her ideas of it. But I've come around her a little bit, which also I did get to see her with no left arm, that bug that Solior had, as well as Scribe Valdez. That happened to me for both of them. So my recorder there just stopped in the middle of what I was doing. I have no idea exactly when. I will try to pick up the best I can remember. I was talking about that sheep squatch knocking the legs out of it. Oh, which is also what I did with all those ghouls in that sort of room before all those waves of ghouls. It reminded me, on one of those little top 5 lists I was doing, signs your significant other might be turning into a ghoul. One of the ones that I had on there originally and I took off was people keep shooting them in the leg. But I decided that it might be a little too obscure. Not everyone plays in that. Maybe not everyone does that, and people wouldn't get it. Not that anyone gets the rest of them. But that's actually most of it, I guess. I went into these quests. I was like lower level 40s or something. By the end of both of them, Danger was level 55. I did do a couple of quests or events, public events in between because I am addicted to these mutated party packs now. And so that maybe leveled him up faster than was expecting or wanting. All of his assigned perks, of course, he has them. Like Barbarian has been great, and Picklock, that stands for itself. I have Ghoulish installed. I don't even know if it works, how it works. I've never really quite figured that one out, and maybe the fact that I'm playing low health just means that I don't notice it as well. I have Animal Friend with all 3 stars applied to it, yet I keep forgetting to like actually try and pacify an animal. The one card I just totally ignored is an intelligence, which I was also assigned 1 in intelligence. The card is stabilized, which that has to do with like heavy guns, accuracy in power armor, and being especially as it's a 3-star. And the other card I was assigned an agility modern renegade, which implies pistols. I've completely ignored that stabilized card. I'm not using it. I just put in whatever one card at intelligence I feel like. Another card, I was excited to get to use this one actually because I thought it was going to be one of the least useful cards ever. Is in luck on Dry Nurse, which you get a chance to keep a stim pack when stim packing someone back to life. I'd been keeping it equipped, and every now and then in one of these events, maybe someone would go down, and I'd go run over to them, and someone else would stim pack them first, and it didn't happen. But speaking of imposter sheep squatches, one of those events popped, and while I was here, I got to stim pack 2 people, and one at a time it triggered, and I got to save my little diluted stim pack there. Not the most useful card, but I was excited I got to use it. Oh, one more thing. Now that I'm level 50, I am looking forward to getting some better gear. I've been at all these. The laser gun I'm still using is only level 25. I picked up a couple of those during this quest, and I already purchased some mod boxes from other legendary mod boxes from other players, so I can. But like my armor, one of the pieces I'm using is still level 5, and then I have 2 that are level 20, one at level 30, and one at level 40. So maybe being at high level or max level character, I can finally get some gear with all this stuff. Looking forward to picking some things up here with this legendary sale, possibly. Anyways, maybe that's it. See you in the wasteland.
Okay, that's great. So yeah, Will's hit level 55. So he's crested that level 50 mark where you can start grinding out the level 50 gear, the best gear, and actually kind of settle down. I tell you, that made such a huge difference on Hard Knock when I went and crafted better gear on my regular character. And I'm not level 50 yet, but I just did the best I could do for the level I was at. So hopefully that helps Will quite a bit. Also, a quick note for those who didn't realize, remember Stratoblaster, because it was just a diary, we didn't get any narration around it. He's not actually playing the Roundtable quest because he was unable to finish. He got locked out, as you might remember, a few episodes back and couldn't finish with the Steel Dawn. So that's why he's going and doing the Scorchbeast Queen and joining the Enclave and all that, doing the main story on the character.
Nice.
That said, he's been playing the character a lot because I just asked what level because I was curious. 226. So the Roundtable character already level 226.
Oh shit! Started it fresh. God damn.
Yeah, he's like high intelligence and herbivore, just out there grinding. So playing plenty. I mean, Sillior's character is over level 100 too. So I mean, people when they get out there and they're playing on the Roundtable characters, you can level pretty fast. I try not to. But yeah.
I think I'm 36 or 37.
We're playing at lower level, absolutely. But they both have their good points as far as because you can really get your build on. As we all know, with 76, by the time you hit level 100, you can pretty much hone in on your build. You've got the perk cards now to do it. You've got the focus. You've got the time. But even once you hit 50, like Will, while you can get better gear, there are a lot of perk cards you're trying to get to maximize your build and get it just right over the next 20, 30 levels.
Oh.
For sure. Lee's roundtable characters in the 80s too. People chiming in chat.
Yeah. So Kellogg is 108 years old when he dies.
Mm-hmm.
And he still looks like he's in his
Yeah, and that's because
40s
of
or
his
whatever, mid 30s or something.
Early
right?
50s. Yeah.
Early 50s,
Yeah,
40s, something in that
the
ballpark.
cybernetics that the Institute gave him is what extended his life.
Cybernetics. What were they called in New Vegas? Those enhancements that you could get installed.
Oh, wow. It's, yeah, the from the clinic, you mean, right? The
Yeah,
perks you get. I don't remember what they're called.
it wasn't cybernetics, right? I mean,
No, it wasn't cybernetics. Yeah, I can't think of
This
it.
is this is bad.
Perks. They were called perks.
No, I mean, because it's on your special. And yeah, you can get, Silly was mentioning, you can also get a boost at the Big MT. But we're thinking of the base level ones you get at the New Vegas Medical Clinic. It's an implant. They're an implant.
There you go.
There you go. Those things that you implant in your body. Come on, what are those
What are they
called?
called? My problem is I've been playing so much Starfield. I'm like, it's a neural link. Yeah. So what are you gonna do? Anyway, implants.
Sorry, it reminds me of that. Sorry, I didn't mean to get off on that tangent. Sorry.
You guys have anything else on Will's feedback there and how his character's progressing?
So what was he saying about the cybernet, so it just keeps him young?
Yeah.
But
So
he's not
his
a
kid,
synth or anything.
no, not technically. But yeah, so Will was kind of comparing his appearance to, what's his name, Blackburn.
Right. Yep. Dr. Blackburn. Yeah, you can see that there. With Kellogg, I mean, there are a couple different synth components, and I call them synth components, but whatever you want to call them, cybernetic. Clint mentions in chat that how there's mention on Father's computer that he had decided against cybernetic implants in favor of synths. Some of the staff disagreed because the staff, they wanted to live forever. They wanted to live longer. And going down that road would enhance their lifespan, just like it did for Kellogg. So
You don't want to go down that road.
exactly.
Very cool. He also mentioned Lorenzo. Why is he so old? He's just magic, right?
Well, that's the effect of the alien artifact on his body. And then his son discovers that if
Taps him like
If
a
they
maple
in-
tree.
they inject themselves with his blood,
Put a spigot in him.
that the effect transfers to them. But they have to keep doing it, where Lorenzo is just getting it naturally.
Yeah. So it's part of him now. It becomes part of his recombinant DNA. So the vitreous humors or whatever his body are making when they drink it, but they have to renew it because it's not actually a part of them. That's really kind of neat. And Lee says, how did he just happen to figure that out? I don't remember how they learned that it affected them as well. I imagine it was probably some kind of a transfusion, right? Like they probably needed a transfusion for scientific reasons or something and discovered it.
Or they just studying the different effects because I think the son mentions that it was his mom's idea.
Yeah. Okay. Jack's the son's name.
Yeah. It was mom's idea to tap dad for their own use.
Okay. And he was just doing experiments to try to cure him, right? Because it also drove him mad. Like it's not all good. Yeah, he's got powers, but he's also crazy.
Well, I mean, wouldn't you be if you were locked away for hundreds of years?
Yes. And yet I feel like he was beforehand too, for what they say. We weren't there.
Yeah. But when you let him out, he just wanders around collecting data. He doesn't do anything crazy. Nobody's seen anything. Nobody's can prove anything. He's a good guy. He's my pal.
He's your pal. Absolutely.
And very graciously shares his gift with me.
You're like the Renfield to his Dracula. You're out there chewing on corpses and drinking his blood, and he's just ruling the wasteland. Or wandering the waste now.
Yeah, and unfortunately, it doesn't have the same perks to it but you can get the Lorenzo's crown in Fallout London. It's an artifact in the British Museum that you can collect. So it's definitely cool to run around with that on.
That's so awesome. That's great. Okay, well, if that is it on Will's feedback, that was Will, not Vanessa, for anyone still confused. Let's
What?
actually...
What?
People don't always put their name on their feedback, so I'm just like going off a title, and I got that one wrong. We didn't have a name on it. So up next with standard recording, here's Vanessa.
Hey everyone, it's Vanessa with my latest feedback for Steel Rain. Just before I get into that, I had a little bug at the start of the first quest. I guess it was my turn this week, where the door that Ares is meant to open with the calendar never appeared, so I could see the quest marker moving off into the distance. Hunted high and low through the train tunnels and found nothing. In the end, I had to resort to YouTube and Google just to find that the door should have opened right where the calendar was, and just needed to do a load of server hopping until he found a server with a working door on. So we got there in the end, but it took about 4 or 5 logins to make it happen. Anyway, on with the feedback. Jim meets Paladin Romani in the bar at the Blue Ridge Caravan offices. As the caravan company won't speak to the Brotherhood, they're here in disguise to investigate any link that they have to the Hellcat mercenaries and the missing people. He pushes his luck with a bit of flirting when Romani offers a drink, but remembering that this is work, settles for ordering a Nuka-Cola. She tells him about how the death of Knight Connors impacted the whole company and how her decision-making caused it. He's not sure what to say, so proposes a toast to the departed knight. They head upstairs to meet the company owner, Joanna Mayfield. Despite their best undercover work, talking openly about the Brotherhood and toasting fallen knights in the middle of the bar, their cover is somehow blown, and there follows a tetchy conversation between the Paladin and Joanna. Blue Ridge are suspicious themselves about the missing people and have been investigating behind the scenes, but it's decided that they and the Brotherhood should work together. The last kidnapping happened at the Harper's Ferry train tunnel, so that's where they head next. It's miles from everywhere, or everywhere except the Valley Galleria, so he calls in on the way to pick up the Space Agency beacon for the ever-patient Sophia back at his camp, before meeting Romani and the Blue Ridge Guard Ares at the tunnel. Descending through a hidden door, they find the underground tunnels overgrown with thick vines which they must clear to access a generator, which in turn will allow them to open the currently sealed door that Ares believes leads to their destination. Ares remains behind on guard while they head further in to try and find the source of the water supply feeding the vines. Now dead scientists that remained here after the war came up with a herbicide to weaken the vines. They find the chemical behind a password-locked door. Fortunately, the scientists have more or less spelt out the password in notes left around the room. Romani works to add the poison to the water supply while he holds off several waves of ghouls, made more difficult by an inventory fumble at the start of the fight, leaving him fighting with an old underpowered rifle, which he somehow doesn't notice until looting the bodies afterwards and not finding the plasma cartridges he expects. Moving on, they hear a strange howling noise which unnerves them both. The source is soon discovered when they attempt to power on the generator. What appears to be a sheep walking upright is prowling round the back of the room. Closer inspection reveals an assaultron in sheep's clothing. He employs the stylish tactic of jumping over it when it runs towards him and then firing pot shots at it while it turns and runs at him again. Back and forth he jumps until it's defeated, his rifle feeling like it takes 5 minutes at each reload. Returning to Ares, they're now able to proceed through the door. Inside, they find a makeshift campsite, some passenger manifests, and a few diary entries made by Cassie, the missing niece. The Hellcat mercs have been picking off the odd traveller in each caravan, until finally kidnapping an entire group who'd sheltered here in the tunnels to avoid a radstorm. Dr. Blackburn appears in each manifest and is mentioned specifically in Cassie's notes as being creepy and on speaking terms with the mercs. He remembers the Doctor from his first mission from Shin prior to joining the Brotherhood. He goes through the findings in a pop quiz with Romani, who agrees that the Doctor needs further investigation, and that the caravan company weren't in league with the kidnappers after all. Back at Fort Atlas, Valdez has determined that the Pip-Boy they recovered previously is from Vault 96, and through a leap of logic that he somehow misses, it's agreed that the vault must be the location of Dr. Blackburn and the source of the mutant attacks. Romani wants to head there to find the missing people. Shin wants to head there to recover Vault technology, but all are at least agreed on the destination. Valdez will accompany him this time. Moving through the vault, they encounter the Hellcat Company and a few security robots, but not too much to disrupt their attempts to investigate what happened here. Dr. Blackburn repeatedly accosts them over the PA system, asking them to leave and making various protestations of innocence. The work seems to involve using the FEV to create a human with the survivability of a mutant but retaining greater intelligence, or at least that's the impression he gets. Finally arriving at a sealed door that they can't open, he's greeted by another blast from the past in the Blood Eagle, Tally Long, whom he also met back on that first day at Fort Atlas, unconvincingly playing the worried settler, trying to buy an enormous arsenal of weapons, strictly for personal use, of course. She's probably the only person in the wasteland who would have found his and Romani's visit to the Blue Ridge offices a masterclass in deep cover ops. Valdez agrees that they have no choice but to make a deal with Tally to get through the door, only to then complain about the company he keeps once they have. Tally opens the door and they immediately have to join forces to defeat the horde of security robots. Once done, Tally keeps her word and hands over the key card that will ultimately get them to the prisoners, including Cassie Holloway. Cassie seems to be in better shape than the other captives. He hands over a disease cure for the sludge lung that she's suffering from while hearing her story of the kidnapping. Heading back to the vault atrium, they're met by a door which the key card won't open. Valdez suggests disabling the hydraulic controls, which he does through some nifty rerouting of wires, earning a metaphorical pat on the head from the scribe, who clearly expected him to just whack it with a spanner. Finally, they come face to face with Blackburn, who continues with his greater good history will remember me as the saviour of humanity defence. Jim tries to question the doctor, but Valdez is stood behind him, yelling random unhelpful comments at every question, so he gives up and leaves him to the Brotherhood reinforcements, who will place him under arrest. This is all food for thought for Jim. Dr. Blackburn is despicable, clearly, but on what authority can the Brotherhood start arresting people? This feels like a very slippery slope. But also, if all this people trafficking is going on, is Romani perhaps right after all? And safeguarding technology should not be their first priority. Damn, he wishes he had more conviction about his past choices. So that's it. That's pretty much all I did in the game, apart from starting off the Mistress of Mystery questline, just finding the body and then heading down to the manor. That's about it. Still wrapping up Dragon Age, so not got too much time to split between the two games. No, that's it. See you all in the wasteland. Bye.
It can be hard to find time with that Dragon Age. I speak from experience. Yeah, but that's wonderful that she's getting it done. And she's actually quite far in Dragon Age at this point, too. Last I heard, she was finishing up Act 2, getting pretty close to the end. On that character, I'm glad that we got a chance to dive into some of the character motivations behind this one, too. Like, dealing with Tally, the way that Tally and Blackburn come back, that is nice that they wrap that into the quest. First time playing through, and I think a lot of people who kind of rush through the dialogue, let's just say that everybody playing, especially in 76, is reading every line and paying attention to the lore there. Might have missed out the first time, especially like with Steel Dawn and Steel Rain, the time in between. I myself did not remember that Blackburn was in that very first scene. When I was playing Steel Rain, the game had to remind me and tell me, and I'm like, oh, really? Oh, I forgot. But yeah, but Tally here and all that, that's excellent. And I like the fact that she chose to work with Tally too. But also the idea of the authority of the Brotherhood and what they should and shouldn't do. I mean, to be fair, in the Wasteland, especially in Appalachia, there is no authority. So they are stepping into a vacuum. I mean, in the roleplay world that we've kind of created in 76, the Dwellers kind of become an authority of their own. And you have groups like the Fallout 5.0 and like the new Responders, or the Enclave definitely see that any Enclave player sees themselves as the authority. Let's be honest. I mean, the Enclave thinks they're the authority. Now, are they? I don't know. The actual, like in the game itself, the Brotherhood are maybe the closest thing to an authority group that isn't player driven that we have. So that's really interesting. Like, should they bring in Blackburn? I mean, yeah, you see the horrors he done, of course. And the fact that that's making her kind of reconsider. Maybe it's less about preserving technology and more about stopping people and helping people like Romani wants to. Although the two go hand in hand. If Blackburn didn't have access to this lab and all the resources of Vault 96, he might not have continued his experiments quite so much.
Well, and it's whoever has the most guns wins.
In the end, yeah. Yeah. That's a lot of Raiders think might makes right over and over again. I try to prove them wrong, but Okay, well, if you guys don't have anything else on that, we can jump into Lee's feedback.
Sounds like a good plan to me.
Okay, well, I've got to give him the proper introduction. So next up, we have and he's coming at us with a nice 16-minute feedback here, but he gets really deep into the quest. This is good stuff. So Leor took the week off, so he's picking up his slack, you know? Here we go. Here's Lee.
Episode 6, The Missing and Finding the Unexpected. After repairing her armor and weapons at her camp, Tow returned to Fort Atlas to ask Paladin Romani about the other missing people that were mentioned in her last briefing. She found her talking to Art Knapp, one of the locals who had reported a missing person. His niece, Cassie, had traveled out west with the Blue Ridge Caravan Company and never came back. Blue Ridge denied that she had traveled with them. Romani was already suspicious of Blue Ridge because of their refusal to negotiate with the Brotherhood, despite the fact that her chapter had clearly shown a willingness to help the people of Appalachia. In Romani's travels to get to Appalachia, she had seen several caravan companies that were just fronts for slavers and smugglers. She directed Tow to meet her at the Blue Ridge Caravan's West Bend Tunnel, east of the Lewisburg train station. But they shouldn't reveal that they're with the Brotherhood so that they could nose around a bit to try to see what they're up to. Tow met Romani at the caravan's bar. To help cover their activities, they had some quiet conversation about Romani's relationship with Shen and how the now departed knight Alan Connors, who she called the bedrock of the chapter, was mentor to everyone, including Shen. She doesn't think Shen will ever forgive her for Alan's loss. Romani and Connors were with the National Guard before the war and brought their philosophy of doing good works when not actually a war to their corner of the Brotherhood. Romani didn't really see the Brotherhood as a different organization. Unlike Shen, with his different prior experiences, he just latched onto his Brotherhood training when they lost Alan. She concluded that she was chosen to lead the expedition to check on the state of the Appalachian Brotherhood to remove her viewpoint from the current goals of the California Brotherhood. They left the bar to meet the leader of the caravan company, Joanna Mayfield. They were immediately recognized as Paladin Romani and Initiate Tow. Mayfield said she knew they were there about the missing people, which she had also started investigating. Romani thought this was a dodge, but Mayfield found her attitude oppressive and didn't appreciate it. Mayfield assured her that their goals are the same. She then called in a colleague, Aries, and told him to take them to the Harper's Ferry train tunnel, where they recently lost an entire caravan of around 15 people, including their guard. They agreed, but Tow was suspicious of Aries as he wore a gas mask. Time will tell. Arriving at the Harper's Ferry train tunnel, she found Paladin Romani. They met Aries, and he greeted them and opened an impressive secret door. They went deeper into the tunnel until Aries gets to a door he can't open. He had set off a gas leak before leaving to seal his path, and the control system still thought there was a gas leak. The alternate route to reset the sensors is blocked by large vines that Aries calls strangler vines. Oh, no bad omens here. Aries ended with, "Try to cut the vines and try not to die a terrible death." Not very reassuring. Aries awaited their return. Tow looked at the thick vines and looked through her stores. Serrated machete? No effect. Molotov cocktail? No effect. Flamethrower with napalm? No effect. Aries had mentioned that some engineers were living down here after the war and may have found a way to keep the vines under control. He suggested they poke around their offices for clues. Romani found a makeshift lab where they may have worked something out. Notes on a nearby terminal said that they specifically didn't deal with the vines in the pump room because they don't want whatever got trapped down there to get loose. Oh, fine. More good omens. After finding and using a numeric code, they found a room with a hazardous materials case containing the herbicide that was introduced into their nice, closed, safe water system. Somehow they didn't realize that they were killing the vines and themselves along with them. Romani found where the herbicide needed to be added to the water supply. She warned Tow that automated detection systems would likely make lots of noise, drawing anything unpleasant right to them. So Tow got ready for a fight. With the herbicide released, the alarms attracted some really nasty ghouls. They didn't like fire or plasma much, and by the time they were dead, The herbicide had done its magic, and they were able to cut through the vines to the pump room. There they found a pump integrity terminal to turn off the gas sensors. After clearing that, the system reported another fun item that needed taken care of: a hostile robotic entity. This turned out to be what looked like a cryptid called a sheep squatch. While Toe was trying to kill the beast with fire, the disguise was burned away, revealing an Assaultron robot. No wonder it was so tough. Toe had to leave the area and re-equip and rearm to finally take the thing down. Toe and Romani returned to Ares, and immediately Romani came down hard verbally on Ares, even accusing him of this whole place being a trap. He headed for the terminal to open the door. Toe could see Romani's point, but was still willing to give Ares a chance and told Romani she was being a little too hard on him. Romani insisted that she couldn't lose sight of the goal of finding the missing people. Ares opened the door and went first, saying, "This way. If you want, you can shoot me in the back." Inside the tunnel's caravan staging area, they found a note from Cassie, who was keeping a journal during their caravan trip back to Appalachia. She was mostly bored by the trip, but noticed a creepy bald guy, a scientist, staring at her. She nicknamed him Dr. Pervert. As they got close to their goal, they were delayed by a radstorm. While waiting it out, Dr. Pervert was joined by several guys that obviously knew him. They were chatting in one corner while she was trying to sleep in another. Everyone was nervous because these guys were obviously mercenaries. The doctor's men took the guard's gun away, then turned to Cassie as she took her notes. She quickly scribbled an appeal for help and left the note behind. Toe then found a Crimson Caravan Company manifest of recent caravans. The first page listed the members of a caravan that included Ares as caravan guard, a carny owner, a provisions merchant, a fireworks merchant, a farmer of tea leaves, and Minerva, a plans and recipe merchant with her guard, Tommy Tentoes. Since it didn't list Cassie or a scientist, it must have been from an earlier caravan run. Their arrival was confirmed by someone named Vinny. This appeared to be a trip from Appalachia to the pit. A manifest for the return trip included a guard named Carrion and a Dr. E. Blackburn. Wait, Toe remembered that name. He was the scientist that was asking to trade technologies with the Brotherhood at Fort Atlas. The arrival of this caravan was confirmed by Joanna Mayfield. The next caravan showed a return trip for Dr. Blackburn to the pit. The next caravan was the latest return trip to Appalachia and showed Dr. Blackburn again with a guard and 14 other people. There was no confirmation of their arrival. That must have been the caravan that Joanna had talked about that never arrived. All hands lost. Toe took the entire manifest in case any of the other names on it turned out to be significant later. Further investigation of the area revealed another note cursing radstorms. Toe gave all the evidence to Paladin Romani, who took a moment to review it, and said that she recognized Dr. Blackburn and concluded that she may have been out of line with her assumptions about Blue Ridge's involvement in the disappearances. The last caravan was delayed by a radstorm and vulnerable, with only one guard. When Blackburn's Hellcat mercenaries showed up, they easily took them all. During Blackburn's stop at Fort Atlas, he wanted technical assistance to help humanity. What they had learned about his motives so far didn't seem like any help at all. Romani admitted that she had been rash and apologized to Ares. They each went their separate ways for now, but Toe had orders to return to Fort Atlas as soon as she recovered from her fight with the Assaultron. After 2 days' rest, Toe returned to Fort Atlas. She walked into a meeting between Paladin Romani, Knight Shin, and Scribe Valdez. Shin noted that when Dr. Blackburn was at Fort Atlas, he must have already begun abducting test subjects. Toe said, "None of us knew. It's not anyone's fault." Valdez reported she had cracked the encryption on the damaged Pip-Boy they found in the Harper's Ferry train tunnel and discovered it was from Vault 96. She couldn't learn anything more about the vault, but knew that each vault had its own purpose, and thus it could be anything. Toe knew this to be the case and pushed back on her bitterness about how the Vault 76 residents were released. Romani and Shin still disagreed on priorities, but both agreed that Vault 96 was currently their best and only option. Toe and Valdez were sent to investigate the vault. The plan was for Toe to gain access to the vault and use the vault's emergency transmitter to alert Scribe Valdez when it's safe to enter. Romani marked Vault 96 on Toe's Pip-Boy map. They were to take Dr. Blackburn alive, if possible. Toe proceeded to the RNG train station south of Foundation. then southeast down Route 103 to Vault 96. As she entered the delivery point, she could already see that the vault door was partway open. From what Toh knew of the vault door mechanism, it would take an incredible failure for it to be in such a state, as it was designed to be either open or closed, not somewhere in the middle. She found tools and pry bars wedged into the opening, indicating it must have been in a failed state, and then additional force was used to open it further. She crept inside. Inside Vault 96, everything was covered in ice, a truly chilling scene. There were several dead Hellcat mercenaries, so they had been there, and opposed by someone or something using guns. She also found a holotape by Dr. Blackburn. He had returned to West Virginia, where he had worked at Vault Tech on genetics projects to help humanity. But the project was suddenly terminated with no explanation but shifting priorities. The head of the program asked him to stay, and as he put it, to his shame, he did. Toh then checked the Vault 96 monitoring terminal. It talked of the initial intent of the vault and an addendum which basically changed it from a preservation program to a mutant research program. Raising her head, she caught a movement inside the vault and saw a surviving Hellcat mercenary. She went to aid the survivor. Corporal Woods was badly wounded and said that they had been hired to defend the vault while Dr. Blackburn worked, and they would get salvage rights when he was done. A large Blood Eagle attack had surprised them and took out their squad. Corporal Woods expired before Toh could administer any aid. Toh suddenly felt colder. She shrugged off the cold and searched the entry area. Finding the terminal to enter the vault proper, she verified it had power, then returned to the console by the entrance and signaled Scribe Valdez to enter. Toh brought Valdez up to speed, and they concluded that the abductions, the Hellcats, and Dr. Blackburn were all connected. Valdez checked the monitoring system and concluded that someone or the vault on its own was responding to the Blood Eagle's attack and locked down the vault. They went to the entry terminal to see if there was still a way to get in. Valdez used the damaged Pip-Boy to override the lockdown. It opened the door, but it also caused the Pip-Boy to fail. Moving further into the vault, they started to encounter Blood Eagles and evidence that they had been fighting Protectron robots. Then, Dr. Blackburn's voice came over the public address system and warned them away. Valdez noted that many doors were still locked, and they needed to find a keycard to open them. They started searching the Blood Eagles and confirmed that they had come with considerable firepower, as there were several destroyed Assaultron robots and raiders in power armor among the dead. Moving deeper into the vault, they fought all comers, Blood Eagles, turrets, and robots, all the while knowing that Dr. Blackburn was monitoring their progress from the Overseer's office. They headed to the mainframe wing of the vault to see if they could use it to turn the tables on Blackburn. They found notes and terminal entries from Blackburn confirming that he had transferred all controls of the mainframe to the Overseer's office, but thought he might have missed a key card. They had to find it. They found Dr. Blackburn's FEV research log number 22. He had run out of test subjects and formulated his plan to get human test subjects. They hacked the security door terminal, allowing access to the reactor monitoring area, prompting another announcement from Dr. Blackburn, promising their task was futile and would only end in sorrow. FEV logs number 38. Blackburn continues to fail and continues to need more test subjects. He accepts vilification if he makes the world better through his research. Another quick note says that he finally found a modicum of success with a test subject developing increased rad and electrical resistance. His goal, to get these benefits and avoid a full super mutant transformation, still eluded him. They passed the window of the Overseer's office and found a locked door and an intercom revealing that Tally Lang, the suspected raider who also visited Fort Atlas, and her gang were sealed in and having to fight robots to survive. Tally did, however, find a key card and offered it to them if they helped them escape. Toh and Valdez did, and once the robots were eliminated, Tally did. Now to find Blackburn and end this. A search of the cryonics lab revealed FEV research log number 57, where Blackburn had started to release his super mutant failures out to Appalachia due to having no suitable storage area in the vault. But the ones who simply died were stored in the cryonics section. The search led to a research wing where a battle was in progress. They found research log 112 revealing the hiring of the Hellcats and their deal to provide test subjects. An additional note revealed that experiments were done on all manner of creatures, including a snallygaster. Toa had only heard about the snallygaster and hoped she wouldn't have to fight one. Apparently, the Blood Eagles released the snallygaster from Test Chamber 3 and were able to kill it just before Valdez and Toa arrived. They found a test chamber containing Cassie Halloway, Art Knapp's niece, and the remaining caravan crew. While searching for a way to open the chamber, they found additional logs from Dr. Blackburn with his lamentations about how some changes to FEV caused cascading failures and others led to minor successes. FEV research log number 5 revealed the beginnings of Dr. Blackburn's research and is hoped to use FEV to make the human condition better. Do the ends justify the means? Toa didn't think so. The biology workstation allowed test chamber access. Toa went back to the chamber with Cassie Halloway in it to verify that it was test chamber number 2, and then returned to the terminal and opened it. Cassie had sludge lung due to the experiments, but a standard dose of disease cure helped with that. The rest were not as well off. Since they could not all travel, Toa and Valdez told them to stay put until they completed their task of arresting Dr. Blackburn. At the overseer's office door, Blackburn again asked them to leave, but they could not. Toa tried the security card on the door, but it didn't work. In a nearby utilities room, they found a hydraulic controller that allowed them to cut the pressure lines controlling the door. Upon entering the overseer's office, Blackburn surrendered willingly. He claimed his work was finished. He derided the early users of FEV as being more interested in investigating its failures than in helping humanity evolve into better humans. He went on to say that they were too late to stop his work. He claimed that he had completed his work and his associates were finalizing the release of it as they spoke. Valdez said that Romani needs to know about this immediately and told Toa she would guard Dr. Blackburn, and Toa should return to Fort Atlas forthwith.
Forthwith. I don't know if any of you went back to Fort Atlas to grab the next quest, the Catalyst, after we finished up last week, but yeah, Blackburn, it's the funniest scene because you've got our 3 main Brotherhood people, Valdez, Shin, and Romani there, standing up talking, and Blackburn's just like on his knees, hand behind his back. But the way they did it, he just, it looks pretty funny. It looks really funny. But thank you for all that detail, Lee. That was really in depth. I dare say that was almost as in depth as we were last week without as much back and forth. Did we even mention Dr. Pervert?
Herbert, that's amazing.
Yeah, hearing some of those notes read out loud is really fun. They tie so much lore in the notes and in the holotapes, which we didn't dive into too deeply. We got some here, but about the way it evolves. But the Blue Ridge Caravan is really deeply involved and named in this. It's funny, while they're a new faction for 76, you can tell that the developers at BGS Austin have a lot of affinity for them. Carl McKevitt, one of the writers, level designers over there, leads a team, and Blue Ridge Caravan is one of his favorite factions. So he's always repping their stuff and talking about them. And you can tell that like they're getting this really good story. And sometimes it's from actual quests with them, which we got a lot more individual quests over time with them as it's gone forward. And now we can run caravans and stuff. But even here, even when they were first coming into the game as minor characters, they have these backstories. And I love being able to hear it, being able to say all that.
Is that a faction that we've heard about before, or are they brand new to the Fallout universe in this game?
Yeah, new in this game. And they didn't come in until Wastelanders, right? But they did come in with Wastelanders. It wasn't just for Steel Dawn, Steel Rain, because we already had the Riding Shotgun quest and a few others involving them. But good stuff. Lee will be on the show in... Oh, gosh, I think he's actually going to be one of the last guests this season, towards the end of Skyline Valley, to talk through quests in person with us. And, of course, we've been having all of our feedback participants come in. We're going to have Sean in a couple weeks when he can get back into it with Skyline Valley. That'll be fun. So really looking forward to that and talking to everybody in person. You guys have any more comments on Lee's feedback?
So, not Lee specific, sorry. Sean, because the first half failed, he can't do the second half, of course. Right, there's no way you can jump in like to the.
No.
But they were 2 separate DLCs technically, or no? I guess it was part A, part B. I guess more that way.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
They shouldn't have been given 2 different names then. Hey, great feedback, everybody, this week. That was the list, right?
That was all of them. Great feedback from everybody. I don't have the iguana bits drops, but let's get into the bits real quick if you guys are ready. So first up, not much news, but I want to pop in and bring up the calendar. You guys, we are getting close. Today, as we're recording this, it is February 8th. It is Saturday, early AM. That means we are just, 5 days away from double XP? Yes, we're getting double XP on the 13th coming up. And then Fashnacht itself, everybody's favorite. Well, you know what? I still love Fashnacht. It's just the grind for the masks and the rare drops. Don't let it seduce you, okay? Don't let it destroy you. Just have fun with Fashnacht. See your friends. The first couple days of Fashnacht are always great. And then by 5-6 days in, everybody's so burnt out on the marching. They're just sitting there
By
spinning in
week 7,
circles.
we're tired of it.
Week 7. Yeah, it's amazing how you can fit 7 weeks in just 14 days. No, but I'm glad a lot of people in chat are saying they still love Fashnacht. I do too. Marching with Rovitz, you can't beat it. The only frustrating thing about Fashnacht is how difficult it is to get some of those rare masks if you really want them. So,
You know how I feel about Fashnacht?
how?
It's the worst.
It's the worst. So not only do we have double XP coming up and Fashnacht, but we are soon going to get a Valentine's event. We don't have
Right. Oh, wait. There's one on now, right?
so
Isn't there a do something this week and next week to get some stuff like curtains or something?
yes. So the Science of Love event is starting. I'm sorry. Yeah, it did already start this week. It started a couple days ago. So Science of Love is one where you have to wear an outfit. Is it the head mirror thingy?
I haven't even looked at it
doctor's
yet.
thing?
Oh, that'd be cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
Neat.
Yeah, there we go. I got that in the shop, but I haven't done anything with it yet. It
Yeah,
means
me
I'm
too,
going to
me
fail
too.
the 2-week challenge. There's probably not enough time to get it all in on the event. So you have to craft the mirror.
It's usually 4 out of 7 days per week. What is
It's
today?
5 out of 7. That's the problem.
Is it?
I like it when they do 3. I've always said cut it down. 5 out of 7 is too much for players who have busy lives, who have family to visit. Yeah, Andrew's raising his hands right now. Family to visit, kids to take care of, stuff to do, So you have to do 5 out of 7 challenges each week for a couple weeks to get all the rewards. The first week reward is dopamine wallpaper, which, yes, what? Dopamine wallpaper? It's this cool because it's Science of Love. And so it's red wallpaper with the chemical molecule for dopamine. The week 2 reward is the Study of Love chalkboard. It's a very cool chalkboard. You can also get the Pink Heart Gobo light. If you do both week 1 and week 2, it's one of those studio lights that you can hang up in your camp, but it has the little gobo, and instead of a vault boy, it's a cute pink heart. The challenges aren't too tough. It's things like collect nuclear waste, collect microscopes, kill mutants, and all that while wearing the mirror. So that's pretty cool. I'm sure a lot of our listeners are already in and doing it. But yeah, I was too busy watching TV this week. Now I'm kicking myself. I really should have. But so we've got those going on. We've got Science of Love. We've got Fashnacht in about a week and a half. And we've got double XP coming up in just 5 days. That's it for the calendar. And again, as I mentioned, expect the next season to change over on March 4th, most likely, possibly the 11th. But I would not trust that. I would aim for the 4th. We guys have less than 4 weeks to go. If you're not on Scorecation yet, get to it. But most of us are. In fact, I'm going to stick in a quick spontaneous shout out here because Clint and Charlene have hit level 150. They are on super
Fucking way.
Scorecation, both of them. So shout out on Scorecation for you, Clint.
Scorecation!
And a shout out on Scorecation for Charlene.
Scorecation!
Do they actually stop playing, or do those rewards just keep coming perpetually until next season?
Yeah, this is where you can now get the repeatables. You actually unlock the last board once you hit 150. So between 100 and 150, outside of earning tickets to unlock things on the bonus board, you don't get the second bonus board until you hit 150. So now's where, yeah, this is where it all kind of pays off. You know what I mean? So, but that's it for the calendar. Just some gaming news. I just want to mention February is a super busy month for video games. So if you didn't know, there are 6 major AAA games coming out this month. A couple of them that are actually relevant to our interests, and a bunch of big indies. So, Ray, are you still thinking about trying Kingdom Come Deliverance 2?
I'll probably wait on it. I still have a ways to go on the first one. I'm not in any big hurry.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
You haven't played that in
it'll
months, Ray.
it'll be in the holiday sale.
Yeah, that makes sense. It'll be a holiday sale in the future. Well, Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 is getting great reviews. People saying much more technically sound than the first one and a bit more fun too. That this is really the game that the first one was kind of leading into. So if that one got in the 70s on Metacritic, low 70s, this is coming in around an 88 or 89, I think, overall. A lot of people really liking it. So for those who don't remember Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, it's an immersive open world RPG. So it's very much like an immersive Sim Skyrim where everything is pain because you slowly learn to fight. And luckily this time your character remembers how to fight a little bit. Like you're not starting from zero. Henry is starting from, he knows some stuff already, but some things are reset. Anyway, the 6 games come out this month that I mentioned. Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 just came out. Civilization 7 just came out, which as many of longtime listeners, Civilization is one of my kryptonites, but I am actually holding off on it this year because Avowed comes out in 5 days for early access. Early access on the 13th if you got the deluxe edition, or full release on the 18th if you did not. Which you don't be a sucker. Okay, I'm a sucker. Well, y'all know I'm a sucker. The Atom Shop sees me coming, but I really wanted to play. And to me, Avowed, I think it's going to scratch that Oblivion itch while we're talking Bethesda stuff in a way that most games don't. It's because it's got that first-person, colorful, quest-based, a lot of great dialogue, immersion that you get from Oblivion, but it also has a little bit more colorful and a little bit more action-oriented. So you can play in third person if you're a third-person player, but I think it's more set up for first person. There was a fun interview with MinMax where he did 175 quick-fire questions with Carrie Patel, the game director. That was really illuminating. Turns out, if you're playing it on Xbox, it will run up to 60 frames on Series X. Not Series S, but on Series X. So if that's important to you, they did work it out, so it's going to be a little bit higher frame rate. But beyond that, we have Monster Hunter Wilds, which is huge. I know people love Monster Hunter Wilds and Monster Hunter games in general. I mean, we have Assassin's Creed Shadows was actually moved to March, so that one's delayed a little bit. But there's one other really big one. Oh yeah, what is it called? Pirate Yakuza Like a Dragon coming out. So the next one of those. And then a couple other things. Lost Records Bloom and Rage is one you might like, Andrew. Not that you're just going to play it, but it's Life is Strange adjacent, made by the people who originally did Life is Strange, not the most recent one, but the original game. Looks quite good. Oh.
Ooh.
Yeah, I just brought up all that since this month is going to be so busy, and there's a little bit of something there for everyone. Also, sorry, Jerry. I'm so sorry, Jerry, but EA Football Manager, that's soccer to you civilized people, EA Football Manager 2025 has been canceled for the first time ever in the series. Yeah.
Why?
Yeah, they couldn't get it done. So it was supposed to come out last fall, and it got delayed. And then they were planning on releasing it this spring with the next one to follow in fall. And I think they just said, you know what? At this point, it's too late. You've got too much treatment to do.
Concentrate on the next one.
Yeah, the thing about those yearly sports franchises, I mean, they've got to be hard. Each year they're rebuilding the roster, but they're trying to iterate on gameplay. And it recently changed the name because they had the FIFA licensor. This was FIFA. And they no longer licensed the name.
So. I can afford the license anymore because Ronaldo, instead of making $50,000, is now making $50 million a game, you know?
That's what it is. Yeah, blame Ronaldo.
Yeah. Well, they should just call it the player strike.
There you go.
Yep, there you
better.
go. Player strike. So in actual Fallout news, we do have a couple things not game related, but I wanted to mention the Fallout TV show. Of course, this is a lovely time of year. No real spoilers here, but if you care about spoilers entirely, just skip a minute ahead. This is a pretty quick. But there has been a few more set leaks. They should be back to filming, it appears. And we got to see the Dinky the Dinosaur head. So previously we saw the Novak sign and the area that definitely looked like they were filming around Novak with a green screen area. But now we actually saw a giant dinosaur head big enough to get in. So it's going to be featured for sure. We have also gotten some leaked set photos from people creeping, getting some photos. And it looks like very New Vegas. So basically Freeside type photos outside the strip. We can see the strip gate. What looks like it might be a Securitron. Not sure if it's an active Securitron or just a Securitron shell. That was in shadow. Couldn't really tell. But we saw the Tops sign and a few New Vegas landmarks. Just small, just signage. Not sure how much it's going to feature. But let's just say tops confirmed and strip confirmed. So that is awesome.
Yeah. I thought I saw a shot with the Atomic Wrangler.
Oh, you saw the Wrangler? I don't think I caught that one. That would be perfect. And we don't know what state that New Vegas is going to be in at this point.
I think it'll be Nevada.
Oh, wait, hold on. That deserves this. Well played, Ray. Wasteland Dad would be proud of you. Final bit of news, which is not necessarily Fallout news, but writer John Gonzalez has returned to Obsidian Studios.
Oh, finally. I missed him.
Yeah, Andrew missed him. So as Andrew knows, and the rest of you might need to remember, John Gonzalez was the lead writer on Fallout New Vegas, working with Josh Sawyers and others, but he was the head writer on New Vegas. And yeah, so he left to do other stuff, as people do, and he's coming back. And there's, of course, rumors. Wait a second. Is this more confirmation that after Avowed and Outer Worlds 2, they're working on New Vegas 2? Well, I'm sorry to disabuse you, friends.
Confirmed.
But he specifically said he did not return to work on New Vegas 2.
That's what he would, of course, have to say to get you off the trail of the truth.
Right. See, that's just it. So I think we could be doing semantics here. It's not New Vegas 2. It's
Exactly. It's
New Vegas
the
Revisited.
return of New Vegas.
exactly. It's Fallout Legion or Fallout New Reno. Like, we don't know.
Fallout Newer Vegas.
Yeah, exactly. But New Vegas 2, right out. So confirmed, not New Vegas 2. There's absolutely no saying that they'll be working on a Fallout game, but it's just a nice thing to see, to get those rumors speculating.
Okay, besides the Brotherhood, how many endgame factions did we hear about in season 1 of the TV show? Did we hear mention of Adam Katz or the Minutemen or the Gunners or any,
None of that,
any factions at all? You know what I mean?
None of that East Coast shiz per se, but obviously the NCR counts as a faction. So we got
right.
NCR,
It did
and
NCR.
Brotherhood. Did we hear about the followers of the apocalypse at all? I don't think we did. We should have, but we didn't. We heard about the Fiends talking about Raider gangs, right? So
Yeah.
Drugs guys, right?
that counts. Yeah. I'm trying to remember, did they mention any of the other Raider gangs specifically? Oh, yeah, they did, of course. We heard about Vipers too, right? Vipers and Fiends both? I'd have to go back and double check, but I feel like we did.
No.
So you were mentioning Cricket was in the show. I mean, not really. But yeah, there you go.
I watched that scene the other day and I was just like, that is totally fucking crazy.
Oh yeah, it's 100% cricket.
I might be imagining the Vipers. I was thinking we got both Vipers and Fiends, but if we didn't, hey, there's at least one Raider gang.
The reason I was asking that is just because I was curious if they're going to bring in like the White Glove Society and like all the different little factions around the. I was just curious, like, are they actually polling those names? But if they are, I'm pretty excited to get into downtown New Vegas and see the Elvis guys and like the White Glove people. This is going to be cool.
We're gonna have to hear about some of them to get in there.
Yeah, I mean, 100% they've got to. If they've got the Atomic Wrangler in there, then there has to be kings.
Yes.
I
Yeah.
mean, there's just no way you do a New Vegas show and not have the kings.
Right. Let's bring in half these factions. We got the kings. So they've got to have followers. Okay, if they're going to have people in their healing, like, why not? Come on, bring the followers. And then at least mention of strip factions, even if the strip no longer exists in the fashion that we remember it. That would be very cool.
Lucy's going to get attacked by the fiends on the outskirts of Vegas on her way into town and stuff like that. Yeah.
Cook.
Sweet. Yeah, Cook, exactly.
Sorry to say, or not sorry at all, Cook is dead.
Okie dokie.
He is an ex-Cook. He has served his last course.
What year is the show and what year does the video game take place?
So New Vegas was 2281 and the show is 2296. It's 15 years after the events of New Vegas.
Okay. So Vegas is already well established and everything has already happened.
Yes, yeah. So people are worried about canonizing an ending. Not to linger on the show too much with spoilers, but people are worried about canonizing an ending, saying that they're going to have to. If they don't, it's going to kind of leave a bit of a hole. But I have a feeling something that they can talk around without canonizing if the state has changed a bit and we just don't ask. But if Mr. House is alive, then they canonize that Mr. House didn't die. And if Mr. House is dead, they canonize Mr. House isn't alive unless Mr. House is dead but happened after. Because once again, 15 years. That's a bit of time. for other things to happen. So I have a feeling that House won't be there, but he will, of course, be in the show a ton. He's credited, and that'll probably be in past flashbacks, most likely.
Flashbacking. Or in a conscious robot walking around. You know what I mean?
My goodness. I just want Victor. Justice for Victor.
Yeah, that's the sheriff-faced
Yeah.
Securitron guy, right? Yeah, that'll be great. Howdy, partner.
Well, and for a TV show like this, Yes Man would be just, and that actor's still alive, right?
Yeah.
Oh, Dave Foley. Yeah, he's totally alive. Right.
Yep, definitely. Yeah. So that'll be fun to see. So
That would be excellent if they brought him back in to redo the character. Have they done the Codsworth actor is not actually the voice of Codsworth, right?
Right. No.
but
Have they
he
haven't
does
done
so
that.
well.
He does sound very much like Codsworth.
And I have a feeling after the success of the first season, I mean, it would make sense that if Yes Man is there, they need Dave Foley. But who knows?
So cool.
Who knows? Love these rumors. That's one of my favorite things.
And now that the show won a bunch of awards and like people seem to like think it's pretty hip, lots of more people like Dave Foley will want to be involved anyhow. You know what I mean? Like you'll start seeing more cameos and shit, I bet. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you could definitely see that. Like, it's the hot show to be on. Everybody wants to have a guest role.
There's going to be people who in years in the future, you're going to find out that, that Raider number 3 in the background with a face cover on me. Oh yeah, that's Steven Spielberg was in that shot in the background. He was just happened to be on set one day and just wanted to be a Raider in the background because the show's so cool. Stuff like that's going to start happening.
Yeah.
You hear about people like dressed as stormtroopers in Star Wars movies. They're just friends who just happened to be on set that day or whatever. They're just like, hey, that's me. I was in a Star Wars movie.
I'm just checking IMDb. Make sure we didn't get any new names because, of course, we know we added Kumail a week and a half ago. And, of course, Macaulay Culkin on top of the other main cast. Yeah. No, I don't have any new confirmed names that are jumping out at me, but excited to see them. So, you know what? This brings us into the shout-outs. Let's get some good shout-outs to our crew because we had a really lively bunch here in chat tonight. We had like 8 or 9 live listeners. Really appreciate you guys sending in your feedback, coming by, hanging out.
That's awesome. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, shout out to all of you. I want to give a shout out to our friend AX4X, his friend playing New Vegas, who tried New Vegas and said it was too hard. And he's like, so did you go north from Good Spring? And the guy's like, yeah, I think so. I just kept dying. Honestly, dropped New Vegas because of that. So shout out to that guy coming back and trying New Vegas again. Go south this time. Shout out to gaming couples. Awesome gaming couples like Clint and Charlene or AX4X Boost and his wife was just talking about getting into gaming via Skyrim because Skyrim is the ultimate gateway game for so many of us. I hear that. So shout out to them. Shout out to C3 Community Creations Con. Wait, what? Yeah, we're doing it again. So you guys might remember last year we did first Community Creations Con, which is a con about modding for Bethesda games, Starfield, Fallout, and Elder Scrolls. That went really well, so we're doing it again. It's going to be coming up on the 21st and 22nd of February. We're still hammering out the schedule. We've got 16 confirmed panels. I will be doing a couple again with the wiki again for sure, and probably another mod. We also have Sky Oblivion will be doing a panel, so you can learn more about that. Skywind will be doing a panel this time, so you get more on that. Sky Oblivion, we can see how close they are to being done. Skywind 2, we haven't had a video from them in a while, so I am excited to hear about that. Fallout Chicago will be making an appearance there. I'll, of course, share it on socials as the time comes. If there's panels people want to watch, it's going to be going Friday from about 10:30 in the morning till 6 or 7 at night Eastern, and then again, same thing on Saturday. We may have a couple people who aren't announced too, trying to get a couple of headliners of sorts, but hey, the real headliners are all the modders that'll be there. So again, things like Conquered Stories, Empire Wastes, which is Empire Wastes being a New York, Fallout New York mod. Some cool weapons mods, Beyond Skyrim, Iliac Bay, the Beyond Skyrim crew coming back to talk about what the next region they're working on. They've been doing region by region and some great stuff. So we'll tell you more probably next week.
Did you say Fallout Chicago?
Yeah, Fallout Chicago.
Is that a mod coming out for something?
So what do I know about Fallout Chicago so far? I don't have a description yet. I know Frogmane is working on it. I don't think it's going to be a total overhaul mod. I think it's just going to be a region a region mod. But if you want to
I was
know
gonna say,
more,
'cause-
tune in. It's going to be on Friday afternoon.
that would be the closest thing to a Fallout game to a city that I'm like fairly familiar with. I don't know Boston at all. I don't know DC at all. I don't know Las Vegas at all. I've never been to those. I've been to those, but I don't know them intimately. But Chicago, I've been to a bunch, so I kind of know my way around. So that is, I always want to, there's that whole thing where we always want the Fallout game to be where we're from.
There's nothing like having it set in your own area or an area you're very familiar with. And just one more thing to confirm, Ray, you're going to want to be there right from the beginning because the first two, we've got a Starfield Ship Hab showcase.
Whoa.
Eleonora and a couple of Ship Hab developers. She's going to host, so a couple of different mod developers come on and show their stuff for their fancy Ship Habs. Yeah, that'll be fun.
Awesome.
But those are all my shouts for the night. Y'all have anything else?
I don't believe so.
Well, Andrew, do you want to take us home?
Let's see if my voice can get us there. You can find Jess over there at Sleep is 4T on like the Blue Sky and the Twitters and all that stuff. You can find information about all of her awesome projects. Jess, thanks so much for hopping on tonight.
Thank you. And you know what? I'm sorry. The guys were telling me in chat earlier too. They're like, "Ooh, you've got to clip Andrew. You've got to turn the tables. You got to give all these do a little funny pastiche of things Andrew says." And then Andrew doesn't talk much tonight because he's sick. It's a conspiracy.
Yeah, my voice is blown out. I didn't have a voice 2 days ago. You could tell it's still shot to hell. So,
but all good. Great being here.
it always happens on the month too when I'm supposed to be singing a lot and doing that. So it always fucks me. I'm always like cramming vocals in at the last second, and then they never sound great just because.
It's all those Tom Waits covers. You just got to write more Tom Waits style covers.
My wife was watching Bram Stoker's Dracula today, and I don't know if I've ever seen it, but I was like,
Bram Stoker's Dracula?
Bram Stoker's
Oh, Bram
Dracula.
Stoker's. Oh my God.
Tom Waits is in it. I'm like, why
Yeah,
is
he's
Tom
Renfield.
Waits in this
He's
movie?
awesome.
Like, what the fuck is going on? I must have never seen that movie. That's crazy. I just didn't expect to see Tom Waits. I was like, he was also in like Mystery Men or something.
Yeah,
weird,
he's
like,
done a lot of cool roles like that. But no, he was awesome as Renfield. Believe it or not, that's actually where I first got to know him. I didn't know Tom Waits from his music. I
Hey,
knew him from
really?
that. Yeah.
That's funny. That's cool. Anyway, I'm gonna watch that movie with my wife this weekend probably. I love Gary Oldman. I think he's like one of the craziest, weird, versatile actors. He has all those awesome parts, but I've never seen this one, and it's evidently iconic. She's like, this movie won like 38 Oscars. I'm like, no way.
It won quite a few. It won quite a few. Award winning. I mean, directed by
probably
Francis Ford
exaggerating with
Coppola.
38. Yeah, I saw that it was Coppola, and I was like, wait, really? This one? I was like, no.
Yeah, you've heard of him. He's like Nick Cage's uncle or something.
Yeah, that's why he's famous.
Mhm.
Not for what was it? The Godfather?
I think I've heard of it.
It was Nick Cage's uncle. You're right. Okay.
He was
He was famous for Peggy Sue. Was that what that? Peggy Sue Gets Married. You ever seen that one? Oh my God, so good. Ray can be found at Ray LB. He also does a No Man's Sky show, and he's on a Skyrim show. Check out all of Ray's stuff there at Ray LB. Ray, thanks so much, sir.
Good times.
I can be found on the Facebook group, and both Jess and Ray like to hang out in our Discord. Please join that. Seems like where a lot of our good activity is going on. The show can be found at the Fallout Feed. I'd like to thank everyone for downloading this edition of the Fallout Feed. We will see you in the Wasteland.
Thank you for downloading this episode of the Fallout Feed Roundtable. If you are interested in doing a play-along character with us, the show can be contacted by emailing falloutroundtable@gmail.com. For the Roundtable schedule, our Amazon link, and all other show information, please head on over to asapodcasting.com, where you will find the Fallout Feed, a Skyrimatic podcast, our YouTube channel, the Chatterbox, as well as other content. Once again, thank you for downloading, and we'll see you in the Wasteland.